And welcome everyone to another episode of Magic Pod Squad. Dante Marcatelli, George Galante, Jake Chapman, and this man, simply one of our favorites, one of our all-time favorites, Anthony Johnson. AJ played for the Orlando Magic 2 stints. You remember the 99, 2000, and then 2 years from 2008 to 2010, 13 NBA seasons. And quite frankly, AJ, I would be fine if we just caught up about once a week and just tell stories and reminisce. It has been way too long. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, it's always a good time to catch up with my Dante Galante, and now we got Jake in the building, so
yes,
always the catch up with my Magic people. So all good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Well, let everybody know where you're at, what you're up to. Do you play golf twice a day, 3 times a day? How much golf are you getting?
He's ready to go right now after this, by the way. Like we're keeping him from a tee time.
Oh,
you know
no.
that, right? We're keeping him from
ready to go, man. I'm gonna be on 2 wheels to the golf course. We got a 12:15 tee time. I live here in Atlanta, and just kind of taking it easy, living the dream. Got 2 kids. My son's a sophomore in high school. I coach his AAU teams in the summertime, so helping him get where he's trying to go. And I have a daughter that's in 7th grade, so just trying to be the best dad I could possibly be. So yeah, just living the dream and enjoying fatherhood.
That's great.
AJ, talk about that. I think we talked about that the last time we spoke about coaching your son. How has that been for you? Are you one of these? I mean, you're coaching, so it's a little bit different. So you have to be a little bit of a screamer, I would imagine, because there's 2 types of parents out there. There's the ones that kind of just sit back, and then there's the ones that are super involved. But you're coaching, so how has that angle been from your perspective, coaching your son, watching him do what you did?
Well, we all know I'm super competitive, so I really enjoy the competition aspect of it. And, just being able to be around my son, train him, and, coach his teams day in and day out. It's a bond that, father-son bond that I really enjoy. And he knows when we're in practice, I'm the coach. But as soon as practice over, we get in the car, I'm dad. And he knows that I'm hard on him. And, it's one of those things I tell him all the time, with my basketball career, you have all the answers to the test. So there's no way be making 60s and 70s. We should be making 90s and 100s. So when he's not doing what he's supposed to do, I get on him pretty hard. But when he's playing well and he's applying answers that he has, it's good to sit back and be a good father and kind of just nod my head in approval.
So how is he doing on the test since he has all the notes?
Man, it's a roller coaster. Because somebody, because now he'll be 16 on Saturday. So, these kids nowadays, they think they know it all. And you have to give them room. This is his journey. I've already had my journey. This is his journey. So I got to give him room to kind of develop, to try things. And, I know what, he needs to grow. And I got to give him room to grow. It's not, I can't always expect him to get it from my viewpoint and from my eyes. So I have to allow him to kind of, make his own way. And sometimes it's, pulling hair out, which I don't already have any hair. I have to allow him to take the driving wheel, to take the steering wheel, and this is his journey. So some days, better than others, but he's on the right track.
I coached my son in basketball for 1 season, and we won 0 games. So now they're both lacrosse players. I only had a partial answer key to the test.
You got to get those NIL deals going. You got to go find you some 6'6", 7-year-olds.
Yes, that's right. You know what's interesting, George? You say that, and I'm always amazed at how athletes come at it, because I coach my daughters. And we have one, George. We have won a couple of games, which is fun. but they get upset. And I feel bad. I'm like, if they have a bad game or miss some shots, they get upset. And I'm like, it's all right. Get them next game. And then I talk to Q Rich, and you hear from AJ, and AJ, Q will say his son got upset, and he'll write back, say, well, how much did you practice? What'd you put into it? Like, it seems to be a completely different mentality from a professional athlete as how they treat that situation than it is for me, where everything's fine.
As opposed to me, who just said to go play something else. Yeah, lacrosse. Let's go try lacrosse. That sounds good.
Right? Is that fair? You there's a different accountability, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all, being a former athlete, Our kids are a little bit ahead of the curve and definitely ahead of where we were at that same time. So, a part of it, we want them to have the professional approach and preparation things. And, for us, for me, it was lifting weights during the day, getting in extra shots on the game day, getting treatments and all that kind of stuff when, I'm dealing with a 15-year-old and none of that stuff is really important right now. So,
right.
So I have my, getting ready for NBA Finals game approach. And he has, Dad, I'm 15, I want to do a whole bunch of other stuff approach. I got to check out YouTube. I got to check out social media. Right. There's a lot, there's things that's more important than, putting my best foot forward. So, as a parent, you have to make the necessary adjustments. But, preparation is one of those things that if you want to be successful, it has to be high on the priority list.
AJ, it's obviously a completely different level, but does it make you relate a little bit to Stan Van Gundy and some of the coaches maybe you had over the course of your career? Do you feel Stan channeling through you at any point, or is that way out? Is that way over here?
I think Stan's approach is a little different to AJ's approach.
Probably a good thing.
Yep.
Stan, of course, Stan was a great coach. We had a great system. We had great success. But with Stan, man, nothing was ever perfect. Unless you beat a team by 100 and you made every shot and you shot a high level of threes, Stan was not going to be happy. And you had to hold the other team to like less than 50 points. But, in the NBA game, none of those things are really able to be accomplished. So Stan was never happy, but, he's a great guy and a great coach. But, my approach, man, I just, these kids are young. We want to practice hard. I want them to prepare. I want to try to help them get to college. So, it's just as much as possible, just try to put them in a position to be successful and be aggressive and, and like you said, there's going to be some teams that, you just run into a buzzsaw. So, you just got to kind of, take it one day at a time and just prepare them as best as possible.
It's interesting. We had Hedo Turkoglu and Rashard Lewis in here on opening night. So that was a lot of fun. And Rashard told a story that Hedo Turkoglu, when the play was drawn up for him, he understood it. If it was a get right, if he's going to get right, no problem. But there was a language barrier when it was get back on defense. Or do you remember it that way? What's your memories of Hedo Turkoglu for 2 years?
I mean, just that combination with Rashard and Big Turk and Dwight, man, to have three guys that could run pick and rolls effectively and finish games at a high level, like Dwight being the interior presence, Big Turk and Rashard being able to score from three, then Big Turk being able to put the ball on the floor at 6'11", and Rashard being able to post at 6'10", 6'11", and take advantage of matchups, man. That was like a team made in heaven. And we took advantage of it as much as possible. But my Big Turk story, man, I never forget. We always get on Big Turk about a whole bunch of stuff. But before a finals game, he's eating pizza before the game. I'm like, Big Turk, you're the only guy here in the NBA Finals that's out of shape. Like, how do you play 120 games and you're playing 35, 40 minutes and you still out of shape? That, like, come on, Big Turk. Come on, Big Turk. But awesome. We had a great time. We had a great time.
Oh, that's beautiful.
AJ, how often are you you didn't just play the 3 years in Orlando. You had a 13-year NBA career. I mean, that is a lengthy NBA career. How often are you pulling up highlights to show your kids just to, to kind of put them in check? Like, listen, like, check me out. Like, this was me.
Daddy do it. Our coach used to do it at a high level back in the days.
That's right.
Every now and again, these kids, like I said, kids are young. They think they know it all. So you're trying to help them understand the game at a high level. And sometimes they look at me sideways like I don't know what I'm talking about. So every now and again, I got to put them in the torture chamber playing one-on-one, or I have to send them links and let them know this is Coach AJ back in the days dunking on somebody or, having a big night. So every now and again, I do it when kids look at me sideways. But for the most part, I just kind of chalk it up to immaturity, and they just think they know it all. And, basketball for them, starts with, LeBron James and, these guys. But, we did play good basketball way back before, these new shooting 40-foot threes,
Oof.
started. So, yeah. So, every now and again I do it, but I just kind of try to laugh it off and, just try to find the nearest golf course.
AJ, I wanted to ask you about that. The state of the game today. You sort of presided over some of that. The younger guys, LeBron. I think you were still in the league when Steph was getting close. Anyways, how do you like basketball today?
It's tough. I would have to say in my career, I played. When I played with the Pacers, we used to have to battle Detroit, Rasheed Wallace, Chauncey Billups, year in and year out to try to go to the NBA Finals. And if you watch the brawl in the Palace, the score in the fourth quarter was like 66-62 with like 3 minutes left in the game.
Wow.
So is that why the fight broke out?
Game, with 3 minutes left in the game. And those were dog fights. Of course, I didn't play with the Pistons and the Bad Boys, but, we used to take pride in playing defense. We used to take pride in competing, and we used to take pride in stopping our guy, and we used to take pride in team defense. Nowadays, some of that competitiveness, some of that taking pride in getting stops and playing good defense, you really don't see it. So when the games get out of control, it's like, are you even offended that your guy thinks he can score on you whenever he wants? And for me, I would be offended. And, I would take the personal challenge of shutting my guy down and stopping my guy. And of course, now with the NBA, guys shooting across half court, guys shooting a high level, a high amount of threes. And of course, Steph's and the Dame Lillards and those guys, they're going to make a good bit of it. But you got to put your best foot forward and you got to strap it up and you got to get stops. You got to get stops. And, it's just when I don't see guys taking personal accountability on stopping their guy, that's kind of, you kind of turn the channel quick fast.
It's interesting. You played, so you've 18 years with the 18 games with the Magic.
It felt like 18 years with the Magic. It did. It really felt like it.
Felt like 18 years. But those 18 games at the end of the Heart and Hustle season, right, where you were part of that run, this team was trying to get to the playoffs. You saw Ben Wallace really before anybody else did. What do you, he's now in the Hall of Fame. Is that incredible? What did you see with Ben? And did you have any idea that this guy was about to emerge, right?
Not at all. Not at all. At the time, Ben was, I want to say undrafted, possibly.
Yeah, right. He was undrafted.
A great guy, quiet, never said much of anything. Offensively, it was kind of like, don't really pass him the ball unless he was wide open under the rim and no one was around. But one thing you saw his tenacity. You saw when the game started, like he was about his business. And, and he got every rebound. Whatever he got his hands on, he was going to secure it and, and kind of rebound at a very high level. But to see him evolve into, that Heart and Hustle Ben Wallace into the Detroit Ben Wallace, man, I mean, he worked at it and you could tell he took great pride into being the best version of himself. And now he has a Hall of Fame jacket. So super proud of him and I'm proud for and happy for him and his family.
AJ, you've had a lot of teammates over the years. How many of these guys do you still talk to, reach out to? Like you mentioned, Ben and those guys. How many of those guys are you still in touch with?
Yeah, man. For me, I'm kind of like a caveman, so I kind of like just stay here in the house. And if you see me on the golf course, I run into a lot of guys on the golf course, but for the most part, I text with a good amount of guys, but I kind of keep to myself. I right now, just the fact that I am, just taking it easy. I try to give my kids, a lot of time, but I love, shooting texts and catching up with guys and seeing them on the golf course. Or you go to Vegas and there's a big event. I run into a lot of guys at the Big Three and those type of things. So it's always good to catch up. But, like I said, I'm a caveman. So, I'm not hard to find, but at the same time, I kind of keep to myself. But, there's a lot of guys that are a few guys that I do keep up with.
You played 3 years with Ron Artest and Meta World Peace. All right. So there's got to be some good Ron Artest material.
Oh,
you must have seen some unbelievable things in those 3 years.
What's crazy is before I got there, the stories that they were telling me, like the stories that I was told before I got there, and to see it in person, I want to say that I got the mild version, but the mild version of Ron Artest was out of control. And Ronnie, man, I when he's in his right mind, man, there's no small forward that could do what he could do. He could lock people up. He could, the top scorers could barely get the double digits, and then he could turn around and beast and eat on offensive end with shooting threes, with posting up, and just using his physical strength. At one time, he got up to like 270 and still was moving and shutting guys down. And that's incredible to be 6'7", 270 and stopping the T-Max, giving the Kobe's, a tough time. Like, what he was doing on the floor when he was in his right mind was truly impressive. But off the floor, that boy was, oh man, he was out of control. He was out of control. And it just, sometimes you can laugh it off, but other times it's just funny. We trying to compete and win NBA championship. A lot of these distractions are not helping us get to our ultimate goal. And that was the disappointing part.
He was one of the first guys I remember when I hit the league, when I was an intern in 06, 07, maybe a year or two afterwards, where I looked at him and I said, he was so built. It must have been the time you're talking about when he got up to 270 and he was still moving. He was built like a meat refrigerator or something like that. Yeah. I mean, he was so thick. And the lateral movement, he was just outstanding.
Jake, just so you know, Jake compares everything to food. A meat refrigerator, like that, there's a lot of food analogies. But go ahead.
I got to add to Jake, man. Think of Bones Jones, the UFC fighter.
Oh yeah.
Think of him as a basketball player. That's what Ronnie looked like as a basketball player. Yeah, like he was just Bones Jones, but at 6'7", 275, 270.
You put him,
that's
AJ, you put him on
like.
your list of the greatest defenders of all time?
Oh, yes. Oh, easily. Because he could guard, like there were times in practices, Dale Davis would try to post him up, and Dale couldn't really move him. And we all know how big Dale was. So, I mean, I would definitely put Ronnie as one of the top greatest defenders in the NBA of all time.
I wanted to ask you, AJ, when you think back, was there a common thread on all of the great teams you played on? Obviously the Orlando team, maybe those Indiana teams. Is there something that maybe with the benefit of hindsight, you say that was something that those teams had in common and maybe you didn't realize at the time?
Well, and real quick, just so everybody knows, because AJ's too modest, you were on a 67-win Dallas team, a 61-win Indiana team that went to the Eastern Conference Finals, and of course this Magic team that went to the finals. So to your point, AJ, you were on a lot of teams that had a ton of success.
And the New Jersey Nets, when we went to the finals twice with Jake.
That's right, finals twice with Jake. Exactly, of course.
And the common thread, of course, you have to have a defensive approach. That was the one thing all those teams, we took pride in stopping other teams. So having a defensive approach and just everybody being tied in as one. When you don't have hidden agendas, when guys kind of have their contracts in place and no one's chasing free agency or chasing money, it kind of brings everyone together and there's no hidden agendas and everybody is playing towards one common goal. And that's normally when you have that defensive approach, a good system in place with good coaches, a good synergy, and everyone's playing towards one common goal, you'll probably have good success in anything that you do.
I've brought up on podcasts before when we've talked to other guys, and AJ, you may remember this because you were talking about everybody's playing for the common goal. Do you remember the training camp, the end of training camp before we went to the finals? We had a dinner. We had a team dinner that I was lucky enough to be a part of. I've mentioned this before, where Stan went around to every guy in the room at 1 through 15 and just told everybody what their role was. And everybody to a man just kind of looked at him, nodded. And then we went out on the floor and did it. Like, do you remember that? That will forever stick with me because I had never seen anything like that before. I'd been to training camps and that one just stuck out to me. And you knew walking out of that door, like, we're going to do something really special this year.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, even early on, I had come from teams that had, final success. The first 2 or 3 days in practice, I let all the guys know in the locker room, hey man, like we got a championship team here. Like there's no weaknesses. If we just kind of pull it together and just have the mental toughness, of course, mental toughness coming into the second round, third round of the playoffs kind of helps you get through. If we can stay healthy, we're going to do it. But with Stan and his staff to give every player a role, to know your role, and the roles that he gave us, of course, it was posted over your locker, so you saw it every day. But every role and each characteristic on that sheet defined every player. Like there was no gray area, first of all, and they were 100% correct on the roles that each player and the characteristics that was on that sheet. So it kind of put things in perspective. It let you know what you were there for. It let you know that what's expected of you and your strengths and your weaknesses. So let's continue to get better with your strengths and let's improve our weaknesses, and we can have a great year. But that dinner was phenomenal, and it was the start of something special. And the year was a great year. Unfortunately, we didn't cap it off, but it was just one of those things. When you're winning, it's so much better than losing.
Yes. Well, and you and Rafer were such a great combination. We talked to Rafer about a year ago or so, and listen, you're phenomenal in the postseason and helped the team get all the way to the NBA Finals, which this city will never forget. But something that we kind of didn't remember was the Cleveland Cavaliers did this little picture celebration.
Oh, I remember it.
That you remember it. I don't remember seeing that as much, but Rafer reminded us that was kind of motivation for you guys. And then when you guys eliminated Cleveland, man, that must have been an incredible feeling. But kind of tell that story for us, AJ, from your vantage point.
One thing about that team, we went on a road and we smacked everyone. It wasn't just us winning at home, but we felt very good and very confident when we were on the road. And the whole buildup throughout the season was, the Lakers and Cleveland. It was that was kind of like what was supposed to be. And then Cleveland, before the game, they would always do this family photo. And, they were just, they were a first quarter team. Like they would just blow everyone out in the first quarter. And it was just one of those things like, they just dancing and, just they're having a great time, which when you're winning and you feel like you're the top team, there's nothing wrong with that. But it just seemed like they used to go overboard with it. And, when we were playing them in the regular season, it was just one of those things like, wait till June. Because y'all going to be in for a rude awakening.
So it bothered you in the regular season too? When we saw that.
Oh,
okay, gotcha.
But there's no need in getting riled up in the regular season. No one's winning any championships in November, December, so it was no big deal. But it was something we kept our eye on. We talked about in the locker room. But it was one of those things when it gets, when we get face to face, come June, the end of May, June, y'all gonna have a handful. Y'all will have some problems on y'all hands. And we were a big LeBron James 3-point away from being up to the tip and really kind of keeping that series and showing them they weren't on our level. But we knew they weren't on our level, but it was just one of those things that, you just got to play the games out. But it was just fun after we won, just taking a family photo like they did before.
Oh, that's so good.
Just rubbing it in a subtle way. Rubbing it in.
But what did you do?
They were not on our level at that time. Even with LeBron James, he was averaging like 40, 45. Yeah. Like he was balling. Like it was unbelievable the things that he was doing. Of course, he was being guarded by Turk. So we gotta kind of we got
to make up for that, right? Yes.
We gotta give him some little slack there, but they were not on our level. No team in the NBA was on our level at that time, but we just didn't get it done the final 2 weeks.
Sure.
No, but to remind everybody what you did during our family photo when we won the East. What did you do, AJ?
I mean, I let my little, my point guards, we were a crew. So Rafer and Jameer and T. Lou, they held me up and, like I was a baby. And so we had a good time with it. Cause that's the time.
That's great.
I think they used to hold up Mo Williams and they used to, so it was just, kind of one of those things you just, after the fact, I'm not a trash talker, but I wanted them to know that they were not on our level. And yeah, we could do all that stuff too, but we could do it as we're winning and moving on.
That picture goes very under the radar because it just looks like we're having a good time. AJ open up, and I knew immediately. I'm like, oh, I know what he's doing. I know what he's doing. I know what he's doing.
Yeah, you gotta rub it in a little bit. You gotta rub it in because that's all you heard about. That's all Cleveland.
Yes.
And they had nothing for us. Like they couldn't stop Turk, they couldn't stop Rashard, they couldn't stop the White. And everyone else, all the role players, we contributed. So they were not on our level, really. And like
That's
I said,
awesome.
if LeBron doesn't make that 3, then they're down 2-0 in their own building, going back to Orlando, and that's easily a sweep.
Which ticks off Turk because Turk had the game winner before that, LeBron 3. That would have been, but he goes, every time the playoffs come, I got to watch that shot.
Yeah. And he also, who had the game winner in game 1? I think he had the game winner in game 1, didn't he?
Rashard, I think. Rashard had the game winner.
Yep.
Yeah, Rashard had the game winner in game 1. So, yeah. So, of course, it came down to game-winning shots. But, yeah, we didn't feel like they were on our level.
Real quick, before we go, I want to go back to the Stan preseason dinner where he assigned everybody his role. I covered Stan in Detroit. He did the same thing. It did not work. So the
personnel helps.
Definitely. Let's give Otis and Dave Twardzik in the front office. They're just due for sure.
Otis was instrumental, at putting that team together. And and also the assistant general manager, Dave
Twardzik. Yep.
And the ownership group, like it was, man, from top to bottom, our synergy was unbelievable. I mean, it was just smiling faces. Everybody was upbeat. Everybody was positive. We were winning. We had a great system in place. We had great guys. Like the synergy was unbelievable from top to bottom. It's just unfortunate that we didn't get it done the last 2 weeks.
Well, it's been a struggle since then for this Magic team. They've gone a couple of different directions, but we're feeling, AJ, there's a buzz in town. We're feeling like we're headed in the right direction, and there's a lot of excitement around it. Do you watch the team still, and what are your thoughts on this up-and-coming Magic team?
Well, I really like the size across the board. Yep. That really, in today's NBA, of course, they talk about positionless guys, and, guys got big guys that can handle the ball, the Wagners and,
Paolo
and Wendell Carter. He grew up here in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. He has some perimeter skills. So, I'm a big fan of Cole Anthony and, and some of the other guys. So now that, they turned the corner, they had some success at the end of last season. So now you got to carry, that into this season. And of course, it improved your summer workouts. When you know what it takes to win, now when you're in the summertime, your workouts change and you're able to kind of develop and get into a mode of, okay, now I have some success. Let's carry it forward. So, the team's 2-0. They got a big one tonight against the Lakers. So looking forward to, seeing, that matchup and hopefully they could kind of build on the buzz. You got to bank a lot of games early in the season when you can. And the Lakers, a team that's very gettable, this time of the year. So, hopefully they could put their best foot forward and, have a good showing tonight.
That's great.
AJ on the broadcast. He's all up on the whole
He's got it all down. I'm telling you. I would love to have him come down. Do you have it in your budget, George, to bring him down here for a broadcast and to do our golf tournament? He needs to come to the Magic golf tournament.
Let's do it. I'm wide open, so let's do it.
There's room on the team plane. Just swing by on the way back. There's got to be room on the plane, I'm sure.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, there's definitely no room there. That bench is full.
Definitely not.
Those things are full. I'm watching the Sacramento Laker game last night, and they light the beam. You played in Sacramento. Do you like that? Do you like the beam?
I love. Did I like the beam?
Do you like it? Do you like that they did it?
I love it. Because,
okay.
It's theirs. It's something that's theirs, and no other team have thought of it. So they, of course, with the cowbells back in the days, that used to be unbelievable. But in Sacramento, there's not much going on out there. So for them to have something that's theirs, it's I really love it. I love it, and it gives a sense of togetherness and camaraderie. And the guys, not to say it makes you play harder, because at the end of the day, anytime someone's keeping score, you should kind of give your best effort. But to have that extra motivation to hit the button and light the beam. I love it.
I love it. Well, we love talking to you, AJ. Great stuff. Hit them straight today, and we look forward to seeing you here soon. All right.
What are we going for? 75, 76? What are we
we're gonna go 81 to 84. We'll go 81.
Wow.
We'll go 81 to 84. So
you're way better than me.
Can we put them in our group, George, for the tournament so we have a chance in this thing?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, guys. Good stuff. That'll do it for this edition of Magic Pod Squad with Anthony Johnson. We'll see you next time.